friends. Good evening to one and all. Thank you very much, sir, for this privilege that you have given to be part of the teaching team of this Eco-Justice Theology Certificate course, jointly offered by Church of South India, Department of Ecological Concerns, and United Theological College. I'm grateful to God for raising me up to be His witness through this program and wherever I am. So with these words, once again, I thank CSI Synod Director Matikoshi sir for the opportunity given. Today, my task here is to help us to understand people's movements in safeguarding God's creation and promote sustainability and an alternative spirituality which seeks to affirm the life and well-being of creation. Therefore, my task is to deal with one such movement called ecofeminism. We shall begin by looking at what is ecology, what is feminism, and what is ecofeminism. These are the words that we have been hearing and we know to a certain extent. Therefore, I would not be going into in-depth understanding or description of this terminology. For us, for our understanding or to remind ourselves, ecology is the study of the conditions and the relations that contribute to the habitat of all that exists. In other words, it refers to the web of relationships, interconnectedness, and interaction of living and non-living beings. Then what is ecological crisis? Ecological crisis refers to brokenness of these interdependent relationships. It is a crisis because it is concerned with life. It is a crisis of life and an issue of survival. Ecological crisis is the major crisis which history has ever seen. And the impact and the adverse effect of it is more and is experienced by all. Ecofeminism is a term that was coined by D. Hugon in the year 1974. It draws attention to the connection between the domination of women and the exploitation of non-human nature in a patriarchal society. So what is ecofeminism? Ecofeminism is a movement. It is a movement. It gained impetus in the recent decades in the form of innumerable protests against the burning problems of environmental degradation and climate change, ecological crisis. So ecofeminism is also an ideology. It is a movement and it is an ideology that considers climate change, gender inequality as social injustice, therefore which needs to be responded, and it focuses on understanding the intersection of gender and the environment. It tries to construct an environmental ethics by taking into account the connection between the domination of women and domination of nature. So ecofeminism is concerned with combating the discrimination of women and discrimination of nature. Several ecofeminists are in consensus that nature and women are hit by the unprecedented impact of climate change. According to the Samakya system of Indian philosophy, Prakriti or nature has got certain characteristics that are common to women in general. Just as women can be a person happy, unhappy, women can make a person happy, unhappy, or infatuated with her three qualities such as Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Prakriti is also having such characteristics of happiness, misery, and infatuation due to having same quality. Moreover, both women and nature are reproductive, prasavatmika it is called, and creative in nature. So, according to the prominent eco-feminists, the exploitation and subjugation of women prevailing in the patriarchal society is much more associated with the domination and massive exploitation of nature by human beings. Just as the domination of women by men is detrimental to the society, the exploitation and domination of nature by human beings is detrimental to the whole biotic community. Thus, ecofeminism is an ideology which seeks to understand the interconnection between women and nature, to comprehend the value, dignity, and basic necessities of all forms of life within the biotic community. Ecofeminism is a feminine movement. It strives to rule out the twin domination and exploitation of women and nature. And it seeks to help one to develop a caring, loving, and sympathetic attitude towards all life forms. Sustain it for the generations to have life and life in abundance. So, ecofeminism attempts to cultivate the ground for peaceful mutual coexistence of human beings with nature and women. In the past, women enjoyed monopoly in agriculture, and men believed that women were impregnated by God. But with the discovery of this dual power, that is the agriculture and procreational, human beings seized control of the soil, fertility, and women's womb, fecundity. In fact, the overexploitation of the two has resulted in overpopulation and consequently destruction and degradation of the environment. The domination of feminine by masculine or domination of female by male and its parallelism to nature is an age-long historical fact grounded in logic. Both the forms of discrimination or domination are basic concerns of environmental philosophy and environmental ethics, as both are detrimental to the society and environment at large. So therefore, the scientific and technological advancement in fact destroyed women's productivity by removing land, water, and forest from their management and control, as well as through an ecological destruction of soil, water, and vegetation systems, so that nature's productivity and renewability were impaired. Why is it so? What are the possible reasons or causes for such hierarchical relationship? In finding an answer, we can identify three conceptual frameworks as root cause. They are value hierarchical thinking. Human beings are, for example, enjoy higher value, status, prestige amongst all species of the natural world. Or in other words, they are at the top of the hierarchy of creation or created beings. Accordingly, human beings are morally allowed to oppress or subjugate all other species of the biotic world. The second one is value dualism. Male and female are the distinctive pairs within the community of human beings. Value dualism refers or it bestows or confers a higher value to male identified with mind and reason than to female, who is identified or parallel to body and emotion. In fact, ecofeminism as a movement originated as a revolt against the concept of dual or value dualism. The third reason is logic of domination. The logic of domination justifies and legitimizes the subordination and subjugation. Justification of domination is based on some alleged characteristics such as features, appearances, individualities, and physiognomies possessed by certain species of the biotic or natural world. Since ecofeminism is a twin concept of both ecology and feminism, one cannot rule out the assimilation of ecofeminism and deep ecology. Ecofeminism is directed towards the interconnectedness and based on self-realization, mutual trust, care, and respect towards others. According to the ecofeminists, nature is the product of a reawakening or revival of our kinship with our individual non-human realities. Ecofeminism and deep ecology are the two important wings of environmental ethics. Ecofeminism, an important and recent branch of environmental ethics, holds important connections such as historical, experimental, symbolic, and theoretical between the domination of women and domination of nature. The theory of ecofeminism is deeply rooted in feminist ethics, which explores a wide variety of viewpoints concerning the nature and analysis of women's oppression. Ecofeminism goes a step forward and analyzes the link between the domination of women and exploitation of nature. Do we care about nature? An ethics of care is mostly concerned with question how we ought to exist in relationship with our natural surroundings. Ecofeminism provides a clue for that. Ecofeminism is an integral part of environmental ethics in which the domination and exploitation of both women and nature is vehemently protested through the application of a kind of ethics based on love and care, which is very much situational and does not get bogged down with abstract questions related to non-situational traditional ethics. Ecofeminism can be defined as a value system. It is a movement, it is an ideology, it is a protest movement, and it is a value system, a social movement, and a practice which also offers a practical analysis that explores the links between androcentrism and environmental destruction. It is an awareness that begins with the realization that the exploitation of nature is intimately linked to domination, exploitation, and exclusion. Therefore, ecofeminism invites people to acknowledge the need to realize the interconnectedness of all life processes and hence rivers and river nature and all life forms. Humans should not try to control nature, but work along with it and must try to move beyond power-based relationships. For the feminists of the liberal mode, as for liberal feminists in general, the environmental problems are a result of the rapid exploitation of natural resources accompanied by the lack of regulations of pesticides and other environmental pollutants. This can be overcome by a social production that is environmentally sound. Issues of environment and ecology entered the mainstream discourse on development and social movements only after the Conference on Environment and Development at Stockholm in the year 1972. From then, the ecofeminism as a movement, as an ideology, as a people's protest movement has developed. And what are the types of ecofeminism? We can identify 5 waves or 5 types of ecofeminism. First one is liberal feminism. Second one is radical feminism. Third one, cultural or essentialist feminism. Fourth one, socialist ecofeminism. And fifth one is third wave of ecofeminism. So we will have a look at a brief look at these 5 streams of ecofeminism. First one, liberal ecofeminism. Liberal ecofeminism focuses on equality of women and exclusion. It believes science, conservation, and legal system can solve environmental problems. Liberal feminism fails to challenge the dominant model and ignores moral dimension of domination. The second stream of ecofeminism is radical ecofeminism. The radical feminism roots are found in biologically based domination of women by men as root cause of oppression. It rejects masculine ideals, especially of aggression against nature and other humans, saying not only women or nature, but dominating culture itself has been deformed by masculinization. It rejects the master model to allow men and women to be part of both nature and culture. It does not collaborate or cooperate with existing systems. It tends to value reason over body and ways of knowing. The third stream is cultural or essentialist ecofeminism. This stream of ecofeminism affirms the celebration of women's bodies and biology as motivation for activism. Spirituality as a source for personal and social change. It affirms the value of intuition, caring, and interconnectedness. It also affirms women and women identified movements. However, it does not pay enough attention to environment and its impacts on women's reproduction. This stream of ecofeminism, cultural ecofeminism, tends to be a historic, leaves out historical context. It tends to be centered in subjective experience and overlooks the diversity. The fourth stream of ecofeminism is socialist ecofeminism. Its roots are historical and it analyzes the economic role of women in society. It values women's role in production and reproduction. It also seeks to deconstruct views of nature and human nature that have been socially and historically constructed. It is a process of deconstruction, and it upholds the reproductive choice for women. It does not include dynamic, dialectical relationship between human and non-human. It does not see women as product of natural birth, just of human social force. The fifth one is the third wave of ecofeminism. It integrates insights from earlier waves. Therefore, it seeks to develop a genuinely anti-dualistic framework. From liberal feminism, it takes impulse to integrate women fully into human culture. From radical feminism, it also adopts the possibility of recognition that integrates integration is only possible with profoundly different culture and concept of what is human. From cultural feminism, it also affirms love and appreciation for women's experience of body, place, and non-human. Politics of heart and community, it affirms. From socialistic feminists, it also takes a critical perspective in understanding of processes and structures of power and domination projects. What are the major criticisms raised against ecofeminism? The critics of ecofeminism, such as C.V. Jackson, Janet Lincoln, Meera Nanda, and Veena Agrawal, have pointed out this ecofeminist perspective is ethnocentric, essentialist, blind to class, ethnicity, and other differentiating cleavages, historical, and neglects the material sphere. Further, the ecofeminist images of women treats women as merely caring and nurturing beings instead of expanding the full range of women's human potentialities and abilities. The use of metaphors of women as nurturing, like the earth, and the earth as female born, are regressive rather than liberating women. Ecofeminist essentialism fails to put forward any account of the historical change in society. Critics like Susan Prentice argues that emphasizing the special relationship of women with nature and politics politics imply that what men do to the earth is bad, unlike women, thereby ignoring the fact that men too can develop an ethic of caring for nature. It also fails to analyze capitalism and its domination of nature. Hence, it cannot develop an effective strategy for change, since it ends in polarizing the worlds of men and women while essentializing two categories. So, with this criticism, we also try to understand the relevance of ecofeminism in India. In India, the most visible advocate of ecofeminism is Vandana Shiva, one who would tend to categorize her work within ecofeminists of the radical mode. But her critique of the entire developmental model and its effect on environment places her more among ecofeminists of socialist framework. We have seen the 5 strands of ecofeminism. So Vandana Shiva is identified with the socialist framework of ecofeminism. Vandana Shiva critiques modern science and technology as a Western, patriarchal, and colonial project. Why? Because it inherently violent and perpetuates irreparable violence against women and nature. Property relations play a major role in the way in which women and men relate to their environments. In the patrilineal societies, women do not have primary right to land. The rights to land are mediated through their male relatives. The gap between legal and actual land ownership rights, patrilocal marriages, the segregation of public spaces, and social interaction by age, class, and gender, female illiteracy, high fertility, as well as male control over agricultural technology, and dissemination of information put women farmers at a disadvantage in our country. The development process of modernity has ambiguities and multiple sides, and not all of them are desirable. The principles and convictions of liberty and equality have been accompanied with new forms of oppression and exploitation. In the techno-scientific era, the modern rationality has brought us great levels of welfare, but it is evident that it also has brought about a hitherto unseen destruction of fabric of life that sustains us, as well as threats to the global ecosystem, leading to the death of nature. We are already facing dangerous global climate change brought about an irresponsible techno-economic model. There is no doubt that we are experiencing what some time ago the German sociologist Aldrich Beck called the risk society. We are witnessing the chronicle of death foretold, that of nature, pollution, pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified food, preservatives, and the list is very long. Women are the first victims of environmental deterioration, but also play a key role in the defense of nature. For example, Chipko movement and Apricot movement in Karnataka. Ecofeminism and activism addressing the environmental issues from the categories of patriarchy, androcentrism, care, sexism, and gender. Therefore, ecofeminism is a theory and praxis that has committed to coming together with the conviction that dialogue will enrich both. Any form of exploitation and subjugation of women equally leads to the exploitation and extinction of nature and vice versa. Environment and gender issues need to be taken together, and new social movements in India seem to provide a ray of hope for change. It is time to demand, teach, and share attitudes, roles, and virtues, because praising the virtues of care without a critical approach that condemns power relations ends in a sweetened and insane discourse. Liberty, equality, sustainability are three concepts that express the core of the conviction that another world is possible. And to get closer to that, this horizon, we must tirelessly build an ecological culture of equality. We must replace our culture of domination with the ethic of care, conscious effort for sustainability, and promote ecosystem. Therefore, the prophetic call is to attend to and to correct the destructive effects of patriarchy, not only on women, but also in all creatures, because such domination is not of God, it is of men and human beings. The second one is to reverence creatures, regard and respect creatures, female and male, human and non-human, in all their diversity, because they together form a delicate organic web of life that is of God and in God. The third prophetic call is to commit ourselves to eco-justice, both locally and globally. So, Sally McAfee, she states, who we think we are. She questions while analyzing the climate change. Recently, I was watching a documentary created by Al Gore. The documentary is called An Inconvenient Truth. This film featured the collapse of a major ice sheet, which is a size of building in Greenland, West Antarctica, due to climate change. For the most part of An Inconvenient Truth, it highlights the major problem of an anthropogenic climate change. At the same time, we are also aware that natural causes cannot be ruled out. So finally, I would like to say that we need to deconstruct our assumption of who we think we are. That is possible by reading scripture from the perspective of people and ecological perspective of reading the scripture, and also participating in people's movement to affirm life and life in abundance. So here I stop. Thank you very much for this privilege.